We are live. Uh, Welcome to the NBA Bit. Little emergency version of the bit today. I know Zakarian covered this morning when the news broke. We got a lot of news, baby. Let me just put this out to a couple other people while we're here. I literally just got my hands on the indictments in the last half hour, so I've been going over both of them. And we can go over the high. But let me just do this here. We're just hitting a couple other people. And we will let all right. So first one we're going to go over is the Chauncey Billups the Chauncey Billups indictment. So just to set the stage for both of these indictments, these are two very different but similar indictments. One is going over the allegations regarding illegal poker. The second is regarding an illegal gambling ring, which sounds like it was used for a particular sports book. It basically involves Terry Rozier. The first one involves Chauncey Billups. Damon Jones, former NBA player and coach, is also involved, but he's involved in both rings. So let's go over the Chauncey Billups indictment first. So basically what it says here, dear Judge Reyes, the government respectfully submits this letter in advance of arraignment of the defendants in the above referenced case. They wanted detention for a whole host of people. Looks like mob-related individuals. And then it's interesting, they asked for bail for a whole range of other people, including Chauncey Billups, which is the court should not release Nelson Sal Betcher, Chauncey Billups, John Gallo, Marco Garcon, Jamie Gillette, Tony Goodson, Kenny Hahn, Shane Hannon, Osmond Hody, Horatio Hugh, Damon Jones, John Mazzulla, Curtis Meeks, Michael Gonzoli, Anthony Shandiaman, Seth Truckman, and Sophia Way. So, as set forth, this case involves a complex scheme to rig illegal poker games using wireless cheating technology in the Eastern District of New York and other locations across the United States. Participants in the scheme included game organizers who arranged for unwitting victims to play in underground poker games. Suppliers of the rigged technology include former professional athletes who are enlisted in the scheme to entice victims' participation in the games, money launderers, members and associates of the Bonero and Genovese organized crime families of La Casa Nostra, who backed the games in the New York area and took a percentage of the criminal proceedings from those games. LCN members and associates had a foothold in the rigged poker scheme because they had pre-existing control over straight, i.e. non-rigged poker games in and around New York, where some of the rigged poker games also occurred. One was hosted principally at 147 Lexington Avenue in Manhattan and was on record with the Bonanno family, the Lexington Avenue game. Another was hosted principally at 80 Washington Place in Manhattan. It was on record with the Gambino family, the Washington Place game. As part of the scheme, some of the charged defendants and other co-conspirators also committed acts of violence, including robbery and extortion, charged in the indictment, as well as additional facts of violence described below. So let's cut to the background here. You see a decent amount of people here in chat. Mike has UK. I actually have downloaded them directly. Let me grab you a copy of the link here. I'll grab that for you, Mike. They are right here. Hold on. just so you guys can follow along. This is one of them. And then the other one is here. All right. So let's keep going. So this is the background of the particular case. The government proffers the following facts concerning the offensive conduct. See United States v. LaFontaine. Proof of the case includes, among other things, witness testimony, text messages, photographs, videos, audio recordings, and other materials recovered from cellular telephones and iCloud accounts of the defendants, their co-conspirators, and financial records. Overview of the rigged poker scheme. Beginning as early as 2019, defendant Stroud and others began orchestrating a scheme to use wireless cheating technology to run rigged poker games, most commonly Texas Hold'em, across the United States, including the Hamptons, Manhattan, Las Vegas, and Miami. I should note, just as a thought, we don't know. I've seen a lot of speculation about Gilbert Arenas. And I know Gilbert's been pretty open that he snitched, quote unquote. But as of now, nothing here necessarily implicates Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert's home did get raided, and he was arrested. But that was based on, like, he lives in the LA area in Calabasas. So that is separate from this. In theory. We don't know all the details, but just based on what we know, I don't think Gilbert Arenas is involved in this. In a typical unmanipulated straight poker game, the dealer uses an automatic shuffling machine to shuffle the cards randomly before dealing them to all players in a particular order. In the rigged games, by contrast, the defendants and their co-conspirators use shuffling machines that have been secretly altered to use concealed technology to read the cards in the deck to predict which player at the table had the best poker hand and relay that information via interstate wires to an offsite operator. The offsite operator then relayed the information via cell phone back to a member of the conspiracy who's playing at the table, referred to as a quarterback or driver. The quarterback then signaled this information, usually by prearranged signals like touching certain chips or other items on the table, to other co-conspirators at the table, who are also participants in the scheme. Collectively, the quarterback and other players in the scheme, i.e. the cheating team, then use this information to win poker games against unwitting victims who sometimes lost tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars at the time. At times, defendants and their co-conspirators used other cheating technology, including a poker chip tray analyzer, which secretly read cards using hidden cameras. That's kind of crazy, but not necessarily all that new. The scheme otherwise worked the same way. In addition, members of the conspiracy sometimes used other methods to cheat, such as an X-ray table that could read cards face down on the table. That's pretty different. Like, you've always been able to see hold cards. That's been, like, pretty regular in TV broadcasts. I guess the difference is here that people didn't know that their hold cards could be seen. And special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards. Now, this is a scam that's been happening for years in the poker community. Doug Polk has talked about that particular scam at length. About how people will use marked cards and they can use glasses or contact lenses to see what those marked cards are. It's one of the reasons why if someone brings their deck to a private game, you should be concerned because they could be potentially cheating. It's just one of those things with private games that can get really messy. Stan, settle down. Pretty funny, though. Anyway, let's get back at it. Below are representative images of the cheating technology employed by the co-conspirators. Damn. Okay. That's cool. Image of a Deckmate 2 shuffler taken apart on the table from defendant Hennon's iCloud account. All right. Got his iCloud. In many cases, the rigged shuffling machines were modified versions of the Deckmate 1 and Deckmate 2 shuffling machines. I didn't even know there was a Deckmate 1 or a Deckmate 2, but all right. When they have image of the computer program showing information transmitted by the rigged shuffling machine from defendant. These guys kept all of their photos on iCloud. Like, these dumbasses kept all of the evidence of their crimes and didn't delete anything. Let that sink in for a second. Like, they just didn't delete anything. Members of the conspiracy fulfilled different roles to ensure the scheme's success. Stroud, Goodson, Hennon, and Meeks supplied the cheating technology. Game organizers, including Stroud, Awada, Betcher, Gallo, Zenu, and Trustman, arranged for games to be brought in for unwitting victims, often referred to as whales or fish, to play in underground poker games. This is common, like in terms of the way any casino looks at a rich person. They're oftentimes called whales. So this is pretty normal language. Shooting teams participated in rigged games, either as a dealer, quarterback, or another participant who received quarterback signals and played accordingly. Members of the cheating teams included Stroud, Alvarez, Apicella, Billups, Ernest, Garzon, Gillette, Goodson, Hennon, Horashahu, Jones, Missoula, Minucci, Renzoli, Riguro, Trustman, and Way. Billups and Jones in particular served as face cards, meaning they were utilized to attract victims to the game because of their status as former professional athletes. That tracks. Schneiderman, among others, laundered the proceeds of the fraud. For example, game organizers sometimes instruct victims to send money via bank wires to shell companies controlled by Schneiderman. Schneiderman, in turn, transferred money either in cash or crypto. Less a money laundering fee. I wonder what that number was. Back to the game organizers. Hey, everyone's got to get a cut, right? As a representative example, in September of 2024, defendants Alvarez, Goodson, Gillette, Hahn, Mazzola, and Ranzulli organized and participated in rigged poker games in Miami, Florida. Defendants defrauded John Doe of at least $60,000 using an altered shuffling machine. Ooh. In the below message, defendant Mazzola sent Stroud and Goodson the following list of players for the rigged Miami game: Guy, Lex, Mikey, Maz, Tone, Kenny, Low Robbie, Jamie, Friend, and then whoever this person is who's the fish. Guy refers to Nelson Alvarez, known as Spanish G. Mikey refers to Michael Ranzulli. Maz refers to defendant John Mazzola. Tone refers to defendant Tony Goodson. Kenny refers to defendant Kenny Hahn. Lil Robbie refers to Robert Stroud. And Jamie Friend refers to defendant Jamie Gillette. In addition, the list also refers to John Doe number 4, number 9, name redacted above, whom defendant Mazzola identified as a fish, the name by which defendants often refer to their victims. Missoula also sent defendant Stroud and Goodson the list of signals that would be used during the rigged Miami game and shown below. For example, the above text message indicated that if defendant Renzoli, Mikey, had the best hand, the quarterback, in this case Mazzola, would touch the $1,000 poker chip. If defendant Alvarez had the best hand, the quarterback would tap his chip. Man, these are so basic. If the defendant Mazzola had the best hand, he would tap his wrist or arm. These are really basic tells. If the victim had the best hand, the quarterback would touch the black chips, in which case the conspirators would fold to avoid losing money to the victim. Man, those are such easy tells if you know what you're doing. Zakarian, what up, baby? Those are really like basic tells. I'm surprised the fish didn't catch on, but and here we go. Members of the conspiracy frequently texted about the scheme in real time. At times, they try to coordinate how to lose purposefully, on occasion to keep the victim at the table longer or avoid suspicion of cheating. One example is shown below in the messages between defendants, Renzulli and Alvarez. Big Mikey and G-Stacks. That's a hilarious. Is that like what was that nickname in Goodfellas? Like Tommy Two Time? Because he always had to say his name 2 times. Anyway, that's just great. In a group chat that included Hahn, Mazzola, and Stroud. I'm going to try to do this in the best active voice that I can. Guys, please let him win a hand. He's in for $40K in 40K in 40 minutes. Holy shit. He will leave if he gets no traction. G-Stacks. Agreed. This dude lost 40K in 40 minutes. Jesus Christ. Oh, that hurts my soul. These messages related to the same games in Miami, Florida, during which John Doe number 4 was defrauded. As another example described in the indictment, in April of 2019, defenders Billups, Ernest, Gillett, Stroud, and Y organized and participated in rigged poker games in Vegas using a rigged shuffling machine defrauded by defendant Stroud. The defendants defrauded victims of $1,000. Below are examples of text messages sent between Stroud and Wee during the games, in which they discuss participation of defendants Billups and Ernest and the need to lose purposefully on occasion to avoid suspicion of cheating. Spook and Chauncey hit 2 gut shots on the river against the same guy. Both calls forward for over 30K. Guys, what are you doing? Like, they're getting gut shots, to be clear, just for the audience. When they say Spook and Chauncey hit 2 gut shots on the river against the same guy, what they're saying is they hit gut shot straights with probably minimal outs in order to win over 30K in back-to-back hands or close to back-to-back hands. That's nuts. Mike, I think this is the same document. Or maybe it's not. I thought I put I downloaded this doc here. Mike, there you go. This is the doc that I'm literally reading right now. So the one guy in the end acted like he wanted Chauncey to have his money. He was starstruck. Yeah, no, they all were really. So I was thinking maybe instead of you playing, we let one of the Middle Eastern guys play, and whenever he got the winning hand, Chauncey and Spook lose to him and Mitch. Sounds like a plan. Okay, perfect. They already know the signals. We just got to let them know which one. Chauncey is in so deep in this. Like, that's the thing that's already sticking out to me. Is that Chauncey is in so deep in some shit that he did like 2 feet in kind of shit. Pretty wild. All right. In those messages, we expressed concern that Ernest and Billups had won too many improbable hands to hit 2 gut shots on the river against the same guy. I can't talk right now, which would arise suspicions of cheating. Way then recommended they put another member of the cheating team, the Middle Eastern guy, at the table so that Billups and Ernest could lose purposefully to him to deflect suspicion away from them. Stroud agreed and Way confirmed that they already know all the signals. As the messages reflect, Stroud noted that one of the victims acted like he wanted Chauncey to have his money because he was starstruck by Billups, a former star basketball player. And it also doesn't know, but also I think at the time was the Blazers coach, but whatever. Then this was by design, as Stroud recruited former professional athletes, including defendants Billups and Damon Jones, into the conspiracy to lure wealthy victims into playing the games. For the role as face cards and members of the cheating team, Stroud paid them a portion of the criminal proceeds. I wonder what the number was. Like, if you're Chauncey Billups and you made millions upon millions of dollars, what number is good enough to put yourself in this kind of predicament? Anyway, for instance, following another rigged game in late October 2020, which Billups participated, bank records show that Stroud, through his company Little Robbie Productions LLC, wired Way, who in turn wired $50,000 directly to Billups. In connection with a rigged game in East Hampton, New York, that defrauded John Doe's 2 and 3, defendant Jones, that's Damon Jones, asked Stroud for payment even before the game started, as reflected in the text message below. I've read this already. This is great. Hey, Rob, can you send one of those wires on your phone? I don't know how much the job pays tomorrow, but can I get a 10K advance on it? God really blessed me that you have action because I needed it today bad. Brother, why are you thanking God that you got caught up in a gambling ring that's going to send you to jail? Unbelievable. In response to this message, Stroud sent $2,500 to Jones via Zelle the same day. 3 days later, messages show that defendant Goodson, Tony, and Macon coached Jones in real time on how to cheat by instructing him to pay attention to defendants Awade, whom he likened to NBA All-Star Steph Curry, and Garzon, whom he compared to NBA All-Star LeBron James. And in the case of doubt, to fold his hand. Remember, if you have to think hard about a call, just fold. B. Watch Amar. He's Steph Curry. Also, watch Marco. He's LeBron. Does it all. All right, guys. All right. This is incredible. This is pretty unique. Hold on. Sorry, just getting DMs left and right here. All right, let's keep going. We're about a fourth of the way through this indictment. Low man, y'all call D Jones because y'all know what I'm doing. Let me hibachi like Gilbert. That's our first Gilbert Arenas reference. Okay. Let me hibachi like Gilbert Arenas. In response, defendant Jones confirmed he knew how to participate in the rigged poker scheme. Y'all know what I'm doing? All right, Damon. Ugh. The involvement of organized crime. Second part of the background. The game organizers made use of illegal gambling operations, the personnel of those operations to run the rigged games. When defendants Beecher, Zanhu, and Trustman joined the rigged poker conspiracy, they had already been operating the Lexington Avenue game with the backing of the Bonanno crime family. Thus, Beecher, Zanhu, and Trustman used many of the same locations and personnel to operate the rigged games, and they were required to make payments to the Bonanno family for the games, rigged or straight, they operated. In particular, defendant Zelani, who is an inducted member of the Bonanno family, and defendant Gallardo, an associate of the family, supervised the Lexington Avenue game and took a portion of the criminal proceeds. Defendant Aiello, a high-ranking member of the Bonanno crime family, did not typically visit the gambling location itself, but received proceeds from rigged and non-rigged games. Below are photographs taken from law enforcement showing the presence of defendant Beecher, Gallardo, and Hody, who provided security for the game, and Zenu, Trustman, and Zelani in the immediate vicinity of the 147 Lexington Avenue game. Similarly, when defendants Awade and Gallardo joined the rigged poker game, they had already been operating the Washington Place game with the backing of the Gambino organized crime family, including defendants Fama, Lanny, and Ruggiero. Defendant Dodino, a member of the Genovese organized crime family, also participated in the management of the Washington Place game. Thus, defendants Awade and Gallo used many of the same locations and personnel to operate the rigged games. We're just going to cut by some of this. In his text message with defendant Hennon in July 2023, which was recovered from Hennon's iCloud account, defendant Awada Flappy confirmed that the game was backed by the Gambino. These people just kept all their iCloud messages. Guys, if you're going to commit crimes, delete the documents. Anyway, Flappy and under Nick. So what family are you with now? Gambling, Colombo, or Genovese? Gambino, sir. That's crazy. This is wild. Hey, for the two visitors who are watching, click join member. Come hang out. Come talk and chat. Alrighty. In 2023, the Lexington Avenue game and the Washington Place game merged. They operated jointly to conduct rigged games using technology supplied by defendants Stroud and others. As a result of the merger, Bonanno and Gambino families agreed that they would each take a percentage of the proceeds of the poker games, both rigged and non-rigged. For example, the following text message from defendant Zenhu, using the alias Jonathan Chan, to Trustman on September 21st. Zenhu reported that he had spoken with defendant John Gallo, a Gambino associate, about sending money, and that the defendant Julius Zelani, J, a Bonanno member, said to send money to defendant Lee Fama, Lee, a Gambino member. John called me to shoot the shit. Then he asked me where I'm sending the money. I told Jay to send it to Lee. This message related to the proceeds of a rigged game in June and July of 2023 that defrauded John Doe approximately 1.8 million. Oh my God. Which is described in the indictment. Holy hell. Let's go. Zelani and Fama, defendants Zelani and Fama would meet regularly at Sally's Bar, a bar 1 block away from the Lexington Avenue game, in furtherance of joint venture to profit from the Great Poker Scheme. Below example is a surveillance photograph of the defendants talking together at Sally's Bar on the evening of Wednesday, October 4th. So earlier this month, 2023. My bad. So 2 years ago, earlier this month. Acts of violence in furtherance of the conspiracy. This is going to be interesting. Members of the conspiracy committed violent acts, including assault, extortions, and robbery in furtherance of the scheme to ensure repayment of debts and continued success of the operation. There's a footnote here. It says the Lexington Avenue game hosted weekly illegal poker games on Wednesdays. Good to know. Extortion of John Doe number 5. As charged in count 5 of the indictment, in or about November 2022, Zen assaulted John Doe number 5, a poker player, for not paying him a gambling debt. This is, I think, the same guy who lost $1.6 million. You want to make? Oh no, that's John Doe number 1. Jonathan, who? You're not going to pay me? I bet. Watch what's good now. You've been running your mouth unchecked. In the days that followed, Zenhu punched John Doe number 5, which Zenhu confirmed in another text message sent to another individual on November 9th, 2022. Punched somebody in the face the other day. Shit's unraveling quick. Later, Zenhu, Zelani, and Gallardo and other individuals went to 80 Washington Place, demanding to see John Doe number 5. John Doe number 5 eventually came outside. Gallardo assaulted John Doe number 5 again, as confirmed by the below text messages from John Doe number 5 to Zenhu almost a year later, referencing sending a bunch of goons to solve your problems. What you did was cowardly and ridiculous, and then you sent a bunch of goons to solve your problems. Okay. Is there honor amongst thieves here? Is that what we're saying? As charged in count 6 of the indictment, defendants Wade, Hody, Mazzola, Minucci, and Stroud plotted to rob a rigged shuffling machine from John Doe number 7 in September 2023. The robbery was successful in the early morning hours of September 7th, 2023. Specifically, Stroud learned that John Doe number 7, who was involved in the operation of rigged poker games, had a rigged version of Deckmate 1 Shuffler, and he plotted with others to rob it from John Doe number 7 at gunpoint. Nothing like robbing other scammers. Like, what are they going to do? Go to the FBI? In the early morning hours of September 7th, John Doe number 7 was in a car with Hody and Mazzola when 2 individuals recruited by Minucci approached the car, brandished a gun, demanded the box from John Doe number 7. At the time of the robbery, Hody, who was driving the car and in on the scheme, along with Mazzola, kept the car in park and did not drive away. That's got to be fucking terrifying. John Doe number 7 then turned over the rigged shuffling machine to Minucci and the gunman. Evidence of the robbery includes text messages, poll camera footage, and license plate reader information showing that the car is registered to Minucci and Hody participated in the robbery. You idiots used your own cars for a robbery? Y'all. For example, on September 6, 2023, the day before the robbery, Goodson sent Stroud a photograph of John Doe number 7 at the airport, apparently confirming that John Doe number 7 had arrived in New York at approximately 12:31 a.m. on September 7th. Poll camera footage showed Minucci's car arriving at Lexington Avenue. At the same time, Hody texted Awada, "Nick is here, do I let him up?" To which Awada replied, "Tell him I'm coming down." After the robbery, Hennon and Awada exchanged the following messages about how Awada had participated in the robbery of Deckmate 1, DM1. Word on the street is, you and Rob, y'all, taking DM1s now. It's getting real in New York. Buddy sent a gift of hide your wife, hide your kids. Wow, that's crazy. All right, keep going. Finally, the day after the robbery, Stroud texted Minucci to arrange a meeting. "I'm about to head down. Are you here?" Nick, trying to call you. Several hours later, Stroud texted defendant Matthew Dodano. That guy just dropped that thing off. All right. Extortion of John Doe number 6, count 7. As charged in count 7 of the indictment, on or about September or October 2023, Beecher, Zenhu, and Trustman extorted John Doe number 6 based on John Doe number 6's prolonged inability to repay a $10,000 poker debt. Guys, don't get into poker debt with mobsters. Just a thought. Beecher, Zenhu, Trustman discussed the debt in a group chat with Gallo and Iwata in early September 2023. Later that month, John Doe texted Zenhu that he was so sick with a major flu that he was hospitalized. Zenhu forwarded this text message to Beecher and Trustman, who then read about John Doe number 6, whom he called, quote, fucko. If fucko is seen anywhere else in the next 2 days, you do what you have to get your money, Seth. Jonathan Chan, I'm sick of this. On October 18th, Beecher, Zenhu, and Trustman continued to discuss John Doe number 6's debt, including how they expected John Doe number 6 to make a payment after Trustman threatened him. No, Seth did much more. He gave him a little nudge. A small but big threat. Saw poker. Great. He knows when I say I have to do my numbers from last month, what I'm referring to is of who the numbers are with. Little subtle things like that. And all of a sudden his meetings are in the 30s near us. Given that Trustman reported his Gallardo, Zeleny, and Trustman, who apparently threatened John Doe number 6 by invoking his connections with organized crime, who the numbers are with, the threats worked. The same date as those messages, October 18th, 2023. John Doe number 6 texted Trustman, telling me he would be arriving in a black Rover with $5K in personnel, and he would do another $5K by transfer with Saul. Surveillance video from outside 147 Lex shows that John Doe number 6 did in fact arrive at the location in a black Range Rover, handed some to a woman outside the location, and then Zenhu saved on his cell phone a photograph of a check dated October 18th, 2023, from John Doe number 6 in the amount of $5,000. The payee was left blank, and the memo line stated poker. As noted above, the Lexington Avenue game and the Washington Place game merged in 2023, with the Badano and Gambino crime families both receiving a cut of the proceeds from rigged poker games. However, in fall of 2023, Iwata restarted his own competing game at 80 Washington Place on the same night as the Lexington Avenue game. We got some good old-fashioned mobster competition, guys. In response, on the night of October 11, 2023, Gallardo, Zeleny, and others stormed 80 Washington Place with weapons. Zeleny was armed with a gun. Gallardo was armed with a baton. They entered 80 Washington Place while a poker game was ongoing and assaulted Iwata. A brawl broke out. Gallardo and Zeleny then left the location. Afterward, Gallardo messaged Zenhu, who demanded that they cease contact with Iwata and his partners. There's no more contact with any of them. AKA, do not reply or answer fucking Bruce, John, Amar, and tell Saul the same. I don't want to hear any different. Ooh. Money laundering, count 4. Finally, investigation revealed the defendants laundered the proceeds of their scheme, with defendant Schneiderman is acting as the principal money launderer. Schneiderman laundered the money through various shell companies and then through crypto. As just one example, following a successful rigged game against John Doe number 1, bank records show that Zenhu sent $100,000 to one of Schneiderman's front companies on October 4th, 2023 in exchange for cash. That same day, Schneiderman texted Zenhu about how he could receive $97,000 in cash from an intermediary. Dylan has... Whoa. Oh, man. I hit the up button. My bad, guys. We were right here. Dylan has $50K for me when you can grab it. So get that 50 when you can. I'm back Tuesday. I'll give you the other 47 then. Okay. Based on this and those similar instances of money laundering and disputes, that Schneiderman had quick access to large amounts of cash, which he supplied to co-conspirators to help them launder the proceeds of their crimes. Look at this guy being Saul Goodman, basically. Oof. A lot of regulars here in chat. We also have one person watching on YouTube, which is very funny. Summary of the counts against each defendant. On October 9th, 2025, a grand jury in this district returned the indictment, which charges defendants with various crimes related to their participation in the illegal gambling and rigged poker schemes. The Charge Appendix A sets forth the crimes charged against each defendant, as well as the government's position as to the detention for each defendant. Basically, this is all talking about bail. Just kind of walking through the legal factors for bail reform in New York. Basically, a bunch of the mobster defendants should be held without bail. It looks like. And then, as I'm kind of reading through this, yeah, it looks like nearly all the mob-related members are they're asking to be held without bail. Let's just keep going through this. I'm just doing a quick review here. See if there's anything else that you guys might think would be important or relevant, because bail conversations, I think, are kind of boring for most people. This just gives us back. Actually, this is kind of interesting. So this will give us background on each of the defendants. Airlo is an inducted high-ranking member of the Banana Crime organized crime family. He's received criminal proceeds from the charged fraud scheme in his capacity as the leader of the family. His leadership position within the family gives him a unique ability to direct others to commit crimes, which makes him a particular danger to the community, such that detention is warranted. Further, Airlo has 3 prior felony convictions. He pleaded guilty to promoting gambling in the first degree in violation of New York penal law, and was sentenced to an indeterminate 2 to 4 year term. Has prior convictions for attempted criminal possession of a loaded firearm in the 3rd degree and attempted assault in the 2nd degree. DeDana was an inducted member of the Genovese crime family. Fama is an inducted member of the Gambino crime family. 3 prior felony convictions. Man, Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones, you guys got involved with the wrong people, man. Fama pleaded guilty to distribution of marijuana in violation of 21 U.S.C. Section 841 B and D. Sentenced to 6 months imprisonment in this district. Convicted of assault and aid of racketeering, for which he was sentenced to 58 months imprisonment. Also has a prior conviction for criminal sale of a controlled substance in the 2nd degree. We're not going to go through all of these. I don't think it really makes sense based on kind of what we know. Because I think for most people, they just want to get an understanding of the Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones stuff. But we're just going to go through the end here. I'm going to quickly just kind of read through it as we're talking. That's crazy. One of the guys who has no criminal history texted another defendant about cracking heads open. I'm going to wait outside poker games and pistol whip 5 winners a week. Jesus Christ. Let's see. More about bail for each particular person. So as far as Chauncey and Damon Jones go, it looks like all other defendants should be released with substantial bail conditions to assure the safety of the community and their appearance in court as required. So that sounds like Billups and Damon Jones both are looking at being released with bail. So big picture here on the Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones side of this is they were basically involved in a rigged poker game that, in essence, used fairly basic, if we're being honest, cheating mechanics. Um, the rigged X-ray machine is kind of new to me, but as far as like the other mechanics go, like marking cards and using contacts or glasses, um, that's pretty standard in games where people are cheating. At least from what I've seen from people like Doug Polk. Um, the other one is like using a rigged deck. The fact they had a rigged deck machine, I think, is pretty novel. Um, yeah, pretty crazy on that front. But let's move to the NBA gambling story, which I think should be pretty juicy. So we're just gonna share this tab instead. Take a second, take a breather. Chat, how y'all doing? We got Matty Harrison, Stan Loves, Mike Cavs UK in here, a couple others. Let's go over this. All right. So, introduction. At all times relevant to this indictment, unless otherwise noted, the defendants and relevant entities and individuals, the defendant, Ernest, known as Spook, was a resident of Missouri. Defendant Marvis Fairley, known as Vizino Locks, was a resident of Mississippi. Fairley represented himself on Instagram as a successful sports bettor and sold sports betting picks through his Instagram profiles. Defendant Shane Hennon, also known as Sugar, resident of Pennsylvania, Nevada. Hennon represented himself on Instagram as a successful sports bettor and sold sports betting picks through his Instagram profiles. Guys, are we catching a theme here? The defendant, Damon Jones, known as D. Jones or D. Jones, was a resident of Texas. Jones was a National Basketball Association player from approximately 1999 to 2009 and an NBA coach from approximately 2016 through 2018. Defendant De Niro Laster, known as Peso and Nero, resident of Ohio, and defendant Terry Rozier, known as Scary Terry, and Shum, was resident of Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida. Rozier was a professional basketball player who's played in the NBA since 2015. Love that they say was instead of is. Like, Terry, hey, you've been playing so badly, we're just going to put you as a was. During the 2022-23 NBA season, Rozier played for the Charlotte Hornets. Rozier was close friends with defendant De Niro Laster, and they had known each other since childhood. So let's be clear. Terry Rozier was close friends with a guy who represented himself on Instagram. Let me just make sure. De Niro Laster. Is not the one who was representing himself on Instagram, I should be clear. So he's a third party. Close friends with Laster. They've known each other since childhood. The NBA and betting companies. So the NBA is a professional basketball league in North America. Among others, the NBA included teams as Charlotte Hornets, Chicago Bulls, et cetera, et cetera. The NBA maintained codes of conduct applicable to its players, coaches, and management that prohibit, amongst other things, wagering in connection with NBA games and providing non-public information relating to NBA games to others. Such codes of conduct requires NBA players, coaches, and management to provide their best services and loyalty to their teams. NBA teams are required to report to the NBA information regarding player injuries, illnesses, and rest for NBA games. On each game day, the NBA disseminates an injury report for each NBA team playing that day. The injury reports identify players as falling within the following categories: available, probable, questionable, doubtful, and out. The injury reports were updated multiple times throughout each game day. Betting companies 1 through 4, entities, the identities of which are known to the grand jury, were licensed gambling companies operating in the United States that offered sports betting services, collectively and together with other online sportsbooks and retail sportsbooks known as the betting companies. The betting companies offered sports betting services relating to, among other things, NBA games, individual players' statistical performances, and NBA games. Since approximately 2021, Betting Company 1 and Betting Company 2 have been the co-official sports betting partners of the NBA. Okay, let's do some quick research here. Who do we think that is? I can tell you it's FanDuel and DraftKings. So just as an FYI, I can tell you with very firm confidence that FanDuel and DraftKings are Betting Company 1 and Betting Company 2, or vice versa. Other relevant material individuals. Long Fi Fam, also known as Bruce, was a resident of Queen, New York. That's from the Pablo Torre investigation. Just as an FYI, that's the Bruce guy from the Pablo Torre investigation. Timothy McCormick was a resident of New York, New York. Jonte Porter was a resident of Missouri. Porter was an NBA player during the 23-24 season. Here's where things get interesting to me in kind of reading over this. Part 13 here. Co-conspirator 1, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, was a resident of Florida. Co-conspirator 1 was at times an NBA player. Who is co-conspirator 1? Is this an unindicted co-conspirator who may have played in the NBA or is currently playing in the NBA? Huh. Okay. Co-conspirator 2. So a bunch of these are individuals whose identity are known to the grand jury. Co-conspirator 6, an individual is known to the grand jury, was a relative of defendant Terry Rozier. Co-conspirator 8, we know it looks like Chauncey Billups, based on the timeline here, I think. Co-conspirator 8, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, was an Oregon resident. Co-conspirator 8 was an NBA player from 1997 through 2014 and an NBA coach since at least 2021. Chat, fact check me if I'm wrong here. But is that Chauncey Billups? Tesla, I'm not a lawyer now. I did work in legal offices for a good portion of my 20s, but anyway, let's keep going here. Background on sports betting. In or about 1992, following several high-profile sports betting scandals, the U.S. Congress passed the Federal Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, which banned all but 4 states from sponsoring, authorizing, operating, and regulating sports wagering. The 4 accepted states, Nevada, Oregon, Delaware, and Montana, had existing sports wagering regimes that passed with grandfathered in. In or about 2018, following years of litigation in the state of New York or state of New Jersey, which desired to legalize sports betting and several American professional and college sports leagues, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down PASPA as unconstitutional. In the ensuing years, sports betting, particularly online sports betting, became legal in dozens of states. The betting companies operated online mobile applications, branded retail sports books at various casinos nationwide or both. Online wagers made through the betting companies' online mobile apps were made pursuant to the betting companies' respective terms of use. Wagers made at retail sportsbooks were made pursuant to sportsbooks' house rules. Among other things, the terms of use and house rules generally prohibited users from wagering in connection with sporting contests when the wagers were based on or users had access to pre-release or confidential information or other non-public information. The terms of use and house rules also prohibited individuals from using others to place wagers on their behalf, otherwise known as straw betting, which is a common practice. It's illegal, but it's a common practice. or at least illegal to gambling companies. Despite the recent widespread legalization of sports betting and unlicensed bookmakers, bookies also offering sports betting services to bettors, bookies frequently accepted bets on bespoke betting websites that allowed users to place various types of wagers on sporting contests based on the publicly available lines. Unlike legal sports books, bookies typically set up the bettors' wagers, i.e., receive payment from and or paid the bettors in connection with the wagers offline, generally through cash, peer-to-peer payments, or cryptocurrency transactions. Basically, it's like them describing a prop bet, more or less. So they're describing prop bets, money lines, parlays, betting lines. All right, let's get to the fraudulent wagering schemes here. Yeah, Mike, I think that's got to be Billups. And that's interesting that he is I think, based on this information, an unindicted co-conspirator. I think. I'd have to grab a real lawyer to know for sure, but that sounds like he is an unindicted co-conspirator. Sorry. All right. Let me go through this. In or about December 2022 and March 2024, defendants Eric Ernest, Marv Fairley, Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, De Niro Lassiter, and Terry Rozier, together with others, participated in a scheme to defraud the betting companies by providing, obtaining, and using non-public information relating to NBA games to place and cause others to place fraudulent sports wagers for profit and to launder proceeds thereof. Sorry, eating breakfast while we're doing this. The fraudulent wagering scheme typically involved various iterations of the same pattern within a network of co-conspirators. The defendants and certain co-conspirators had access to private information known by NBA players or NBA coaches that was likely to affect the outcome of the upcoming NBA games or individual player performances. They provided other co-conspirators with this non-public information in exchange for either a flat fee or a share of in expected wagering profits for the purpose of betting. The co-conspirators disseminated the non-public betting information to a network of individuals who placed the bets on the co-conspirators' behalf, placed wagers on their own behalf, directed others to place wagers, all with the intention of profiting off the scheme at the expense of betting companies. As a result, many of the wagers placed in connection with the betting lines did not reflect or account for private information known by the defendants and their co-conspirators, rendering the wagers more profitable. The defendants and the co-conspirators placed and caused others to place these fraudulent wagers through the betting company's mobile applications and retail sports books. In doing so, the defendants and the co-conspirators made and caused others to make materially false and misleading statements and representations to the betting companies and to omit and state one or more material facts, which made what was represented under the circumstances misleading, including the wagers that were placed in accordance with the betting company's terms and conditions, house rules prohibiting, amongst other things, wagering based on non-public information, and straw betting. Hold on. Just doing one thing here. All right, let's keep going. Tesla, we do. And if you want to page Boston based, he's not in court or in his office, happy to have him on. In many instances, the defendants and the co-conspirators made fraudulent bets and were paid out by the betting companies. Betting companies would not have paid out bettors for successful wagers had they known that the bettors possessed non-public information pertaining to the event or placing wagers at the direction of or for the benefit of others. In furtherance of the scheme to conceal the proceeds derived from it, defendants and their co-conspirators engaged in and caused others to engage in transactions between themselves and others acting on their behalf, including peer-to-peer payment, platform transfers, bank wires, and cash exchanges. Here are some examples of fraudulent wagers and laundering of the proceeds thereof set forth below. The good stuff, guys. The good stuff. The March 23rd, 2023 Charlotte Hornets game. During the 2022-2023 NBA season, defendant Terry Rozier played for the Charlotte Hornets. Prior to the Hornets game on March 23rd against the New Orleans Pelicans, the March 23rd game, Rozier informed defendant Danier Laster that Rozier was going to prematurely remove himself from the game in the first quarter due to a supposed injury and not return to play further. Rozier provided this information to Laster for the purpose of enabling Laster to place wagers based on this information. Rozier was not on the Hornets injury report prior to the March 23rd game, and Hornets officials were not aware of Rozier's plan to exit the game prematurely. The public, including betting companies, were not aware of Rozier's plan to exit the March 23rd game prematurely. Defendant Danier Laster sold the information about defendant Terry Rozier's plan to leave the March 23rd game early to multiple co-conspirators, including defendant Marvis Fairley and co-conspirator 1, to enable them to place fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. In exchange for the information, Fairley and co-conspirator 1 agreed to pay Laster approximately $100,000 from their expected fraudulent gambling winnings. Prior to the March 23rd game, Fairley, Laster, and co-conspirator 1 exchanged text messages confirming Rozier planned to exit the game prematurely, confirming their plan to place wagers on Rozier's unders, i.e. that Rozier would underperform relative to the odds makers' betting lines for the individual performance. Defendant Mays Fairley also provided information to defendant Shane Hennon so that Hennon, both himself into a network of straw bettors, could then place the bets on defendant Terry Rozier's unders. Fairley provided the information to Hennon. Hennon agreed to place and direct his associates to place bets on Rozier's unders based on an agreement between them that Hennon would give Fairley a share of profits from his and associates' winning bets. So it's just a spider web of the information coming out, basically. Let's see where we're in chat. Tessa, we're going to get some takes on this. There's some fun stuff in here. On or about March 23 and prior to the start of the March 23rd game, defendant Shane Hennon placed multiple bets at retail sportsbooks operating by Betting Company 3, totaling approximately $61,200, all of which were either straight or parlay bets on defendant Terry Rozier's unders. In addition to placing bets on Rozier's unders himself, Hennon marshaled a network of associates to place bets on Rozier's unders at Hennon's direction, including but not limited to the following bets, all of which were placed on or about March 23, 2023, prior to the start of the March 23rd game. Co-conspirator 2 placed multiple straight or parlay bets on Rozier's unders at retail sportsbooks operated by Betting Company 1 and on Betting Company 1's mobile application, totaling $107,000. Holy hell. Timothy McCormick and Long 5 Fam placed multiple straight or parlay bets on Rozier's unders at retail sportsbook located in New Jersey, operating by Betting Company 1 and Betting Company's mobile application, totaling $41,000. Hours earlier, McCormick received 2 payments totaling approximately $40,000 via a peer-to-peer mobile platform that McCormick and Fam used to fund the above-described wagers on the unders. While located within the Eastern District of New York, Fam, among other things, engaged in communication regarding and furtherance of the fraudulent wagering scheme. People, stop texting about your crimes. Genuinely. Like, there are at least 5 different notations between this one and the previous case where they're just texting about the crimes. They're just telling you what it is. This is not that hard of a case. Holy hell. Anyway, co-conspirator 3 placed multiple straight or parlay bets on Rozier's unders at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company 1 and on Betting Company 1's mobile application, totaling $20,000. Co-conspirator 4 placed multiple straight bets on Rozier's unders at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company 1 and on Betting Company 1's mobile application, totaling approximately $17,000. Co-conspirator 5 placed multiple straight bets on Rozier's unders at a retail sportsbook operated by Betting Company 4, totaling approximately $12,500. In addition to the defendants and their co-conspirators, others in defendant Terry Rozier's close circle placed wagers on Rozier's unders in connection with the March 23rd game. For example, co-conspirator 6. Wait, was co-conspirator 6 the NBA player? Or the coach? Let me go back real quick. It's co-conspirator 8. Okay. My bad, guys. I'm looking for co-conspirator 8. Let me go back up. Sorry, I lost my place here. Here we go. Sorry. Fam, co-conspirator 4. Co-conspirator 6 placed approximately an $800 bet using betting company 1's mobile application under Rozier's underpoints since approximately 2022. Co-conspirator 6 has placed dozens of bets on Rozier's performance in various NBA games via betting company 1. Every one of those bets, with the exception of the underbet on Rozier's points in connection with the March 23rd game, I found this earlier, was an overbet. Co-conspirator 6's bet on Rozier's unders was successful, and co-conspirator 6 was paid approximately $1,500 by betting company 1. In the days following the March 23rd game, co-conspirator 6 placed multiple additional bets using betting company 1's mobile application and lost approximately $4,000. Following that string of losses, co-conspirator 6 texted defendant Daniel Laster, "I lost shit on that betting company. I'm going to give you a light sack when I see you." Laster responded, "Bet." So let me get this straight, co-conspirator 6. You got inside information that Terry Rozier unders were going to hit, and then you bet that, and you made $1,500. And then the next couple days, you decided to see if you could double your money by betting on Rozier overs, and you lost. You, my friend, are a moron. Jesus Christ. Oh, how are you that fucking stupid? Anyway. Yeah, Mike Cavs UK, I'm with you 100%. Why would you take the overs? That's crazy. Anyway, on or about the morning of March 23rd, 2023, relatives of Laster created an online account with betting company 1. Shortly thereafter, placed an approximately $4,000 parlay wager on Rozier's unders for the March 23rd game. A $4,000 parlay bet? And you just created the account? Were you trying to get yourself red flagged? Like, what are you doing? Oh my God. This wager was funded by co-conspirator 7, who on prior occasions in the context of discussing sports betting had asked for and received last year non-public information relating to Rozier's health status. During the March 23rd game, defendant Terry Rozier then removed himself from the game in the first quarter, did not return. Played approximately 9 minutes and 34 seconds, well below his season average of 35.3 minutes. Scored 5 points, 2 assists, made 1 3, which are all below his per-game averages of 21, 5, and 2, 2.6 threes. And below the line set by odds makers were Rozier's points, assists, and three-pointers in the March 23rd game. Rozier collected 4 rebounds, which is in line with his per-game average of approximately 4.1 rebounds, and above the line set by odds makers for Rozier's rebounds in the March 23rd game. His early exit from the March 23rd game, relative underperformance relative to his season averages for points, assists, and threes, resulted in the success of numerous fraudulent wagers placed on Rozier's unders by defendants and their co-conspirators. On or about March 8th, 2023, defendant Mars Fairley traveled to Philadelphia to collect proceeds from defendant Shane Hennon and the successful wagers that Hennon and his associates had placed in the March 23rd game, as well as proceeds from other fraudulent wagers fairly and had been made in connection with the fraudulent wagering scheme. On or about March 28th, defendant 2023, defendant De Niro Laster also traveled to Philadelphia to collect from Fairley proceeds from the fraudulent wagering scheme relating to defendant Terry Rozier's performance in the March 23rd game. Rozier then arranged and paid for Laster's travel to Philly in or about and between the late night hours of March 28th and the early morning hours of March 29. Fairley gave Laster tens of thousands of dollars in cash as payment for the non-public information that Laster had obtained from Rozier and had provided to Fairley regarding Rozier's plan to exit prematurely from the March 23rd game. After the defendant, De Niro Laster, collected his cut of the fraudulent wagering scheme from the defendant, Morris Fairley, Laster drove from Philadelphia to defendant Terry Rozier's home in Charlotte, North Carolina. Laster then arrived in Charlotte on or about March 30th and met Rozier at his home that day. That's a week after the game. During the early morning hours of April 1st, 2023, Laster and Rozier then counted the money that Laster had obtained from Farley and Philly. Oh, man. The March 24th, 2023 Portland Trail Blazers game. Okay, this is fun. This is somewhat new information. All right, let me grab some water real quick. Hold on one sec, guys, before I get into this next one. Give me like 2 seconds. Okay, we're back. All righty. March 24th, 2023. On or about March 24th, 2023, the Portland Trail Blazers played the Chicago Bulls, the March 24th game. Prior to the game, Trailblazers record was 32-4. That's cool. Just dropped my water. Awesome. Prior to the game, the Trailblazers record was 32-40, and the team was out of playoff contention with only 10 games remaining in the season. Prior to the March 24th game, co-conspirator 8, that is Chauncey Billups, told the defendant Eric Ernest that the Trailblazers are going to be tanking to increase their odds of getting a better draft pick in the NBA draft. Co-conspirator 8 told Ernest before the news was publicly announced. I mean, it was never really publicly announced, but it was announced that several Trailblazers' best players, including player 1, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, would not be playing in the March 24th game. Guys, can we Google the March 24th game? Let's pull this up. So we're just quickly going to share this tab and look at the box score. Man, that is an awful lineup. I wonder who player 1 is. Because if we look at this lineup, is it maybe hold on one second. I'm muting a group text because it is going off right now. Jeremy Grant, maybe? Because Dame had already been traded by then, right? I mean, that's the only one that makes sense to me. Is that maybe it's Jeremy Grant? But we'll see. But let's just wait. Let me check out other Blazers games prior to that. Let's go look at their schedule. It was March of 23. So let's click on a random get. Oh, it's Dame. It has to be Dame. Dame was still on the team. Who had a home in Florida on the team? I mean, yeah, maybe Jeremy Grant. Dame's on the team though, and Dame and Jeremy Grant are the two best players on that team. So I would guess it's one of those two. But whatever. Anyway, let's get back to this indictment. Prior to the March 24th game, defendant Eric Ernest provided this non-public inside information to defendant Mars Fairley so that Fairley could place fraudulent wagers on the game and share the profits with Ernest. In exchange, Fairley ultimately promised to pay Ernest at least $5,000 if the bets against the Trailblazers were successful. In addition, Fairley texted Ernest a screenshot of the purported $20,000 wire transfer to Fairley's bank account from Fairley's bank account to Ernest to company by address for wire. After the defendant learned, defendant Mars Fairley learned from defendant Eric Ernest that the Trailblazers planned not to play their best players on March 24th. Fairley conveyed that non-public information to co-conspirator 1. Fairley and co-conspirator 1 agreed to split the profits on the successful wagers they could place against the Blazers. Before these key Trailblazer players were publicly ruled out of the March 24th game, Fairley and Hennon themselves, together with their co-conspirators, including co-conspirator 1, placed and caused the placement of multiple bets that the Trailblazers would lose the March 24th game, totaling approximately $100,000. For example, between approximately 12 and 7 on March 24th, we're just going to do this. We're going to go on D&D. I'm getting texted left and right here. I'm just going to go on D&D here locally. Here we go. I am going on reduce interruptions for at least an hour. Okay, cool. Before these key Trailblazers plays were publicly ruled out of the March 24th game, defendants Maris Fairley and Shen Hennon themselves, and together with the co-conspirators, including co-conspirator 1, placed and caused placement of multiple bets. Trailblazers would lose March 24th game totaling more than $100,000. For example, between approximately 12 and 7, which was the key Trailblazers players were publicly ruled out, Timothy McCormick and Long 5 acting together with Pham and acting at Hennon's direction, placed bets against the Trailblazers of approximately $20,000 through betting company 1's mobile app and approximately $12,000 through betting company's 2 mobile application. The NBA reports publicly released at 1:30 reported that player 1 was respectively probable and then questionable to play in the March 24th game. At approximately 9:30 on March 24th, approximately a half hour before the start of March 24th game, the NBA released an injury report releasing player 1 is out and others for the game. The out group included the Trailblazers' 4 highest per game scores for the 22-23 season. The betting lines for the March 24th game changed upon the release of the Trailblazers' key player injury statuses. The fraudulent wagers against the Trailblazers, placed and caused by the defense Mars Fairley and Shane Hennon, together with co-conspirators acting at their direction, were successful, as the Bulls beat the Blazers 124-96. The April 6, 2023 Orlando Magic game. This is interesting. On or about April 6, 2023, the Orlando Magic played the Cleveland Cavaliers, the April 6 game. Defendants Mars Fairley, co-conspirator 1, leveraged co-conspirator 1's personal relationship with one of the Magic's regularly starting players, player 2, whose identity is known to the grand jury. Oh! There's an unindicted co-conspirator who played for the Magic. Oh. Okay. This is new information. Player 2 is an individual's identity is known to the grand jury to obtain non-public information about the April 6th game, which they used to place at least one successful wager. All right, let's Google this April 6th, 2023 Orlando Magic game. April 6th, 2023 Orlando Magic. Hours before April 6th, Player 2 told co-conspirator 1 before the news was publicly announced the Magic would not be playing its entire regular starting lineup, i.e. the team's best players in the April 6th game. After receiving this information, co-conspirator 1 provided this information to defendant Mars Fairley. At the time, co-conspirator 1 shared this information with Fairley. Magic were favored to win the game by approximately 9 points. Shortly thereafter, Fairley placed an approximately $11,000 wager with an unlicensed bookmaker. The Cavs would cover the game spread by 9.5 points. That is, if the bet would be successful, the Cavs won the game outright or lost the game by 9 points or fewer. The Magic did not play its entire starting lineup in the April 6th game, and the betting line changed upon the public release of the information relating to the Magic starting lineup. The Cavs beat the Magic by 24 points in the April 6th game, rendering Fairley and co-conspirator 1's fraudulent bet against the Magic successful. Who played on that team? We're going to share this tab real quick. Let's take a look at this game. Whew! That is a bad lineup. Mo Wagner, Chuma, Bull getting a start. Jalen Suggs, Caleb Houston. Admiral Schofield getting 19 minutes. Jay Scrub getting 28. Okay. Let's see who else was on this team that year. That was April of 23. Okay. Let's go to the schedule. We'll just click on a random game. Let's look at the box score and see who's on this team. No one here has been referenced in any gambling scandals. So someone on this roster let a gambling person know that the entire Magic starting lineup would be out. And we don't know who this person is. That's really notable. That's really, really important and notable. I mean, I don't think that's the most important thing that we know from this whole thing. Obviously, the most important thing is, that Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones are caught up in this. But that is really, really important. Anyway, let's go back. February 9th, 2023, January 15th, 2024. Defendant Damon Jones was a former NBA player and assistant coach. Jones played in the NBA from 1999 to 2008, including as a member of the Cavs from approximately 2005-2008. Jones was an assistant coach on the Cavs from approximately 2014-2018. Jones is also an unofficial assistant coach. Unofficial assistant coach. That's very funny. During the 2022-2023 NBA season. During many of those years, Jones is a teammate or coach or prominent NBA player. Player 3, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury. The Athletic has already reported this person as LeBron James. By virtue of his relationship with Player 3, the Lakers and other NBA personnel, defendant Damon Jones had access to non-public information, including medical information not been released to the public. On multiple occasions during the 22-23 season and 23-24 season, including as early as December 2022, Jones sold or attempted to sell for-profit, non-public information to others, including to defendant Eric Ernest and Marv Fairley and others, for purposes of causing or enabling them to place fraudulent wagers based on non-public information. For example, on February 9th, 2023, the Lakers played the Milwaukee Bucks on the morning of February 9th. Defendant Damon Jones sent a text message to co-conspirator 9 Get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight before the information is out. Player 3 is out tonight. Bet enough so D. Jones can eat now. At the time, Jones provided this non-public information about Player 3 to co-conspirator 9. Player 3 is not ruled out on the NBA injury report for the February 9th game. Due to a lower body injury, Player 3 did not play in the February 9th game, which the Lakers lost. On multiple other occasions during the 23-24 season, including in connection with the January 15th, 24 game between the Lakers and Thunder, defendants Damon Jones and Eric Ernest sold or attempted to sell to defendant Morris Fairley non-public information for the purpose of causing or enabling Fairley to place wagers based on non-public information. In exchange, Fairley agreed to pay Jones via Ernest. Player 4, an individual was known to the grand jury and was one of the Lakers' best players during the 23-24 season. Prior to January 15th game, defendant Damon Jones claimed to have learned from the trainer for players 3 and 4. I am assuming that is LeBron and AD. Was only going to play a limited number of minutes and or his performance would likely be affected in the game because of injury. Jones shared this non-public information with defendant Eric Ernest, who then sent a text message to defendant Morris Fairley saying, "Hit me ASAP, got one for you, dude. He got some info." Ernest then shared the NPI with player 4 with Fairley. Fairley then paid Jones approximately $2,500 to an intermediary via peer-to-peer mobile payment platform, accompanied by the message, "Fee." After receiving said non-public information before the January 15th game, defendant Morris Fairley shared the information with co-conspirator 1 and defendant Shane Hennon. Fairley and co-conspirator 1 then placed and caused the placement of multiple bets against the Lakers. For example, Fairley placed an approximately $100,000 bet against the Lakers at a retail sportsbook operated by betting company 2. Hours before the January 15th game, the NBA injury report listed player 4 as probable, and it was not publicly disseminated, including the betting companies, that player 4 would possibly play a limited number of minutes or poorly due to injury. Ultimately, player 4 played the January 15th game with a season average in minutes and performed well, and the Lakers won the game. Let's look up that game. January 15th, 2024. Lakers Thunder. So Bron and AD both played this game. Let's look at the recap. James returned from his 4th missed game of the season due to injury and scored 17 in the second half. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver attended the game one day before a scheduled news conference at the LA Clippers under construction Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Now that's funny, guys. That's pretty funny. So they unsuccessfully bet on a game that Adam Silver attended. So let's just be clear. They attempted to commit fraud at a game that Adam Silver happened to be at. Man, the truth is stranger than fiction. We're going to clip that. That's crazy. Let's go back. Despite the Lakers winning the January 15th game, Jones reaffirmed to Ernest after the game, including via text message, that he had received credible non-public information regarding player 4 prior to the game. The January 26th, 2024 and March 20th, 2024 Toronto Raptors games. On or about January 26th, 2024 and March 20th, 2024, the Raptors played the Clippers, then the Kings. On or about January 26, 2024 and March 20th, 2024, the Raptors played the Clippers and the Kings, the January 26th game and the March 20th game, respectively. Oh, this is all the Jonte Porter stuff. Prior to the January 26th game, this is all kind of public information that we know. The January 26th game and the March 20th game, Jonte Porter, then a player in the Raptors, agreed along 5 a.m. and others to exit the game prematurely on the basis of purported injuries so that a certain of their co-conspirators could place fraudulent wagers on Porter's unders. Prior to both the January 26th game and the March 20th game, Bam provided the non-public information about Porter to the defendant Shane Hennon for the purpose of causing or enabling Hennon to place fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. After obtaining this non-public information, Hennon shared this information with defendant Morris Bailey for the purpose of causing or enabling Bailey to place additional fraudulent wagers based on the non-public information. After, obtaining the non-public information relating to Porter's plan to exit the 26th game, the March 20th game early, Hennon placed and directed and caused a number of his associates to place wagers on all Porter's unders, which were successful. Hennon then conducted multiple transfers via peer-to-peer mobile payments to promote the scheme and distribute proceeds of such wagers. So we have wire fraud conspiracy to commit money laundering, let's see what else. Criminal forfeiture, that tracks on both counts, and that's it. So yeah, that part is kind of crazy. The Lakers game to me. That's something I'm going to post about on Twitter, and I'm going to grab that clip. But as far as like the broader, I think, conversation here in the hour and a half that we've been on and reading all these, that I think we should take away from this. One, these guys were incredibly sloppy on both sides of this. The feds have text messages from people's iCloud accounts with people on the record saying they did the things that they allegedly did. In particular, I think the illegal poker game one feels pretty strong. And based on all of the information in this indictment on the proceeding here for the gambling seems pretty strong as well. Do want to thank you guys for joining us today here, both on Playback and on YouTube, or on the On the Break Pod YouTube. We'll be doing more follow coverage on this thing. Once again, I do appreciate y'all rocking with us. We'll be doing live watch parties on Tuesdays and Fridays for NBA games. And we plan on doing more YouTube coverage over the next couple months, but I just have to carefully plan out what the content's going to be. Anyway, appreciate you all for rocking with us. See y'all later. Peace.